Hello and welcome to a review of Week 8 resources for GS100. Talking about the future of work this week. And this is a topic that can strike fear into the heart of most people. And this future of work is how do we navigate it with faith, with positivity, with excitement, rather than with that fear, doom, gloom, thinking the world is going to fall apart. There's a lot of uh, interesting emotions related to this topic. So, as we talk about this, we've really chosen not to dive into what are people proposing, theorizing, saying is going to happen in the future of work, but focusing more on how can we navigate it, what principles will help us successfully go into the future and do so in a way that allows us to adapt and be ready to change, and how do we do that, and what are the terms for that. So this has been put together with that in mind. There are some great insights that can come from what people are actually saying, and there are some elements in the lesson that allow for that as well. So excited to go through some of this with you and talk through the resources, what students have done, what they're going to do in this class, and what's coming next. So let me jump over to the assignment navigator for week 8. As they come into class on this day, they will have read chapter 5, the first half. And this is the chapter that deals with the idea that you can script your path to a calling in life. The more you plan, the more you prepare, the more you put together goals and write everything down, the better your career will go. Yet, many people who try to do this, try to plan, try to think that they have a lot of control in their work life, are often frustrated when change happens, when adapting has to take place. So, change is a very constant thing in the workplace, in the workforce, in the global economy, even. So, knowing that we need to adapt to change and how to do that in a positive way again gets to the basis of this heresy. So putting this planning and adapting chapter with this future of work topic seem to fit really well. So as students come in, they will have responded to a couple of the activities in the back of chapter 5. There are 3 different ones that really are based on 3 different scenarios. One is if you're a stay-at-home parent or unemployed, which students could see themselves as, oh, I don't have a job right now. They could also see themselves as, oh, I have a job as a student, and evaluate themselves on that. And then there's one in the middle if you're underemployed, if you feel like the employment you're in isn't fully living up to. So they get an opportunity to go through these scenarios, and there's some journaling that it encourages them to do with multiple steps. So you can review those on page 72 through 74 in the text, and be prepared to look over some of your students' responses and maybe discuss those. As you come into this week, the students will have also completed True Motivate last week. And the True Motivate assessment isn't built into any lesson curriculum, but there's some valuable things that could be discussed. So if you wanted to have a few students share what their experience was with True Motivate, how they felt about writing those 3 stories, evaluating them based on different motivators, that could be a valuable follow-up to what they did last week in their journal. As you start to jump into this class, there's a simple community builder that I've used that's based on chapter 5. So on the whiteboard, I'll write up planning on one side of the board and happenstance on the other side of the board, and ask students, put a big line across, ask students to say, are you more on the planning side? Are you more on the happenstance side, which would be allowing things to just unfold, being very spontaneous, waiting for opportunities to strike? Or are you very structured, planned? This goes back to what their personality might have been in week 6. Are they more judging or perceiving would be a correlation with this same idea. but I invite students to come up and put a line where they feel like they are. Are they further on the planning side, further on the happenstance side? And then I step back after everybody's made their mark, and without pointing out who it was, if there's a mark on the extreme side of either one, just ask, what does this look like? And what kind of approach does this take? And then I talk about the benefits of, if you're on one side or the other, what's the benefit of the other side? How can you strike that balance? And then calling the middle ground planned happenstance. So there's value to planning, and there's value to looking for opportunity and adapting to both sides of that. So allowing students to find their own path through how those concepts work, which match the book. They also match the discussion coming up about future of work. So that's an activity I've used as a community builder going into the reading for that week. As you dive into the future of work content, I'll review some of the slides and the information that's here. Just another stab at this. Anything said about the future of work is a guess. It might be based on a lot of data, it might be based on solid projections and patterns, but the further away people are projecting. So if someone's saying in 2030, these are the things that are going to happen. In 2040, these are the things that are going to happen. They're a very big guess. So if you think about the weather predictions are more accurate the closer they are to right now. The further you go out, if you look at weather beyond 10 days away, you're getting into a big guesswork. So the future of work predictions are a lot like that. The further away from today they are, the less likely they are to be very accurate. So that's an important principle that can apply to this. So these principles in the lesson are, how do we navigate? How do we go through the future of work and be adaptable and agile to those changes that might take place? This builds on that idea of planning and happenstance. You can't plan your career. Someone sees that as, oh no, this is the most horrible thing. I can't plan my career. And the other gentleman, you can't plan your career. Look at the sunshine. Wow. I'm relieved that I don't have to plan my career. I can kind of let it unfold and pursue it with optimism. So there's these two sides. What can you plan for? What can't you plan for? Inviting students to discuss this further with what they read. And as you move into the content of the future, then these questions become the foundation of this lesson. It's a great place for another discussion at the table. What jobs will be most in demand? What skills will be most valuable in the future? And our students come with a lot of knowledge on this. They've thought about this. They've looked into it. And so having them discuss and share will bring to the class a lot of wisdom from among them. So exciting conversations can be had here, and then having groups share out what they discussed with the whole class. It's worth spending a little time to do that. When we dive into the content of the week, there's 3 points to make. If you feel like one of these points is more important or more suited to your class, you can focus in on it, spend more time on it. You could try to cover all 3 in kind of a surface fashion, which can work really well, or you can dial in on one and spend more time with it. If you feel like future-proofing, soft skills, hard skills, customizing your education, being a lifelong learner, if you feel like that's what's really going to resonate best, you can focus in on that. You can maybe briefly introduce these and focus in here, or briefly introduce future-proofing and spend more time on the Industrial Revolution if you feel like that's going to be best for your students. So feel free to adapt this to what time you think you're going to have for it. I'll go briefly through what we have here. So in the slide, we've provided a basic outline of the 4 industrial revolutions. When the steam engine came online, the work of farmers progressed at a rapid pace. The machinery that was able to assist with that work made farmers much more effective. When electricity came along, even more machines were able to do the work of the common person that had to be done by hand. And so laborers to labor along with those machines and to manage those machines became the most majority of work. And when the digital age came about, when computers were just starting to emerge, a lot of clerks were needed to manage all of that information. So clerical work became a very big part of things. And there still are farmers, there still are laborers, there still are clerks in our workforce today, but they're representing smaller numbers than they used to during these revolutions. Each revolution brings more jobs rather than less jobs. So this latest revolution, the fourth industrial revolution of digital, biological, and physical, where we're seeing thinking machines, advanced robotics, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things. Some of these terms are, okay, we're going to integrate technology and data into everything we use. And it's a very interesting concept. What work will that create? So all these question marks lead to the point of what work is that going to emphasize? Is technology going to be the only thing people can do? Is there still going to be a need for a lot of people work? Because there's certain things that computers and AI can't do that require a personal touch. So that's where this conversation can go. The example here of integrating technology into working on cars is a really interesting case study. So you can use that short video. We do have a lot of great automotive programs too, so this one can be interesting for some students. When we talk about agility, we're talking about preparing for jobs that don't exist, using technologies, sciences, and methods we haven't discovered to solve problems that we haven't identified. So a lot of our students might be preparing as learners to adapt into some jobs that we don't even know what they are. So for students to think, oh, I'm going to graduate, be in this job for a long time, the agility is going to help them prepare for those other opportunities. Reskilling and upskilling are commonly talked about. To reskill would be like, okay, I'm going to switch job directions entirely. Upskilling would be, okay, my position's requiring more technology proficiency. I need to upskill to keep up. VUCA is a term that basically describes our world today. It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex, it's ambiguous. That term of VUCA is a great descriptor. The antidote is given there on the green, the vision, understanding, clarity, and agility. There's a way to deal with this VUCA world rather than getting put down or stuck with that world. Elder Gong used VUCA in a talk that he gave and talked about how we can adapt as this VUCA world unfolds. As we jump into hard skills and soft skills, we get this from President Henry J. Eyring, having a complementary mix of hard and soft skills. Future-proofing our careers, another hard and soft skills quote there. The T-shaped professional is the idea that we should create some kind of breadth of knowledge. We should know a lot of things we should know a little about a lot of things, and we should know a lot about at least one deep subject. So one thing, and great to be good at one thing and familiar with all the other things as well. There's another video on hard and soft skills that's pretty instructive. And then the diversifying, having a minor or a cluster certificate that's different from your major. And again, having skills that are complementary to and adaptable for what the future might demand. Continuous learning being very important, embracing lifelong learning here. And ending off with our institutional learning objectives to be disciples of Christ, sound thinkers, effective communicators, and skilled collaborators. These are all just great concepts for students to know how to navigate the future of work and do so in a way that's hopeful and positive. So I hope you enjoy it.